just not meant
It's
to
just
be.
clean gameplay, John. It's just too clean.
Yeah, T1. I mean, they're in form, Mike. You know, we had some doubts coming in, right? Because they were out of the scene for a while. They weren't playing in any tournaments at all in the build-up towards DPC, but it looks like they've spent that time well. They've gotten practice down. They're executing as a team really well. Like, their movements is forward, their movements. You forced to use the back wall on a support, and that's your main CC. That's your main team fight control on top of that with a static storm kinetic field. And it's just not Cuckoo just wants to go ahead without the Savage.
It's not a pub game, Cuckoo. Hold on. Wait for your carry, sir. There we go. Savage is back. They'll get back to it. Very rough times. I mean, you're kind of looking for a mid-game power spike here from TNC with this style of draft, John, but I start to question whether that's ever going to come. We're 14.5 minutes in, and with the 6k net worth deficit, it does feel like TNC are going to have to start looking to play for the late game with their Rage King. I suppose you do have a Darkseid that does scale quite nicely as well, but it does concern me, especially when you're going into a Pop, a Void, a Mars, a Snapfire. Very, very scary stuff.
Yeah, I think scaling it too late for TNC still works, but I just worry about T1 when they have all those tools on hand. Like, Void versus Raid King is a weird one, because obviously you kind of force the Void to wait for Chrono on Second Life, and then it's a question of whether or not your Void has enough damage to deal with that Second Life anyway, but you have the follow-up from T1. I think for TNC, there's still a bit of a mid-game pressure here. You want your Raid King to hit that Armlet Desolator timing with a Blink BKB, and you have to play around that. So it's less late game, more mid game, I think, that we need to see TNC hit. And so far, T1's doing a great job of just shutting that down. They do lose their bot tower here, Mike. And they haven't managed to get the tower trade, so that's a bit of good news for TNC as they control the bot jungle, but a lot of good wards to protect. Just ensuring that the wards find farm. At the same time, they're still kind of clumped around this area. They can't use their top jungle. They know it's a bit unsafe, even though T1 hasn't shown in that area at all. And the top tier one's just slowly being shoved. No one coming in to defend because they're worried about a counter fight with the TP options from T1. So I think TNC's defensive play is losing them some map control and losing them some map efficiency.
Smoke up now, T1. Well, Smoker's 5. I suppose they've read that movement correctly, John. I mean, you just kind of brought it up, but they are definitely afraid of a big jump coming in here from T1. Mid lane, a bit of a group up here from TNC now. They've smoked up as 3, but it's going to be a 4v5. Unless they bring Young God over, but he doesn't really want to join right now as the Rage King. TNC hoping they just find a bit of a straggler for themselves. They try to approach that Radiant jungle high ground, but Zephyr is around to break the smoke. Play hard, he'll be the first one up though with the Vendetta. He hasn't been spotted yet. Maybe though has. And we'll just walk right away as Zephyr. He'll break the gap, go in, but the cookie's off the mark. Scatterblast won't land either. Meanwhile, Cuckoo, who are we going for? Young God, he'll jump in. Nightmare's there to save Zephyr. He'll walk right out of there, and now Carl's joined in. They've got Bebby straight off the bat in the Fiend Grip. They've already found the Rage King Smurf line for Carl. He's dropping low. He'll get his BKB up in time, but then he's out of there. Big Sonic Wave though from the Quap, and now Young God's in trouble. He tried to chase down Carl, but it does not work out. A 7k advantage now. Savage is looking for a bit more. He's still got the chrono up. He wants to fight, but instead he'll take the Dire Triangle.
Dire's bottom tower is being chipped away.
It all just goes back to that execution from T1. They have so many ways to approach these fights, Mike. But even if you don't use chrono, even if you don't use
Dire's
Arena, you still have good AoE stuns from your snap. You have good single target control with your Bane. Whereas for TNC, they don't have the hardest lockdown. I think their hardest spell is actually the Wraith Fire Blast. Like, that's your most reliable stun next to the Impale from Nyx, which, as you pointed out, Playhard hasn't been having the best game in landing combination. I think for TNC, they have to get this blink timing on their Darkseer. They need the blink vac walls to time in with the with the Impale from Playhard, and that's how you can kind of turn it around, get the static storm on top. That's their wombo combo, but they just can't execute. I think T1's just really playing on the aggressive way too hard here.
Oh, absolutely, John. I mean, you've got Chrono up, you've got Arena up, you just want to fight. You know how strong you are right now as T1, and there's no reason to back off. TNC, however, they've got to find a way to defend this mid-tier 1 tower, but see how you do it as Cuckoo. He's jumped in. They found Yoen straight off the bat, so that's your Razor gone, and now Play Hard. He's going to try to run, but there's no really running here. Carl, he's on it. Cuckoo will take the kill. And now that mid-tier 1 tower, it's as good as gone. The heroes, they were just the cherry on top.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Savage, he found Febby, but he'll get the glimpse back.
Someone
Should be
better
just
help
fine with
Dire's
it though.
middle tower.
You still got that tier 1 mid, no problem.
Dire's middle tower has
Oh
fallen.
yeah, God no. Bean's grip is up in 3, John. Whitemon, he's timed this perfectly, but they don't even need it. They don't even need it. As Young God, he's going to have absolutely no way out of this. He'll try to armor toggle the best he can. Can he actually make it out? Not quite. Skips out for Febby for some reason from Carl.
An eternity of
I'm not sure what
embarrassment.
Febby's done wrong here, but Young God is going to drop.
And that's so big. We talked about the Wraith King matchup versus the Void Mike. Like, the key thing is that you force Chrono to be held back because of that second life. So far, it's not a factor at all. They will find Cuckoo at least. Can you find a kill?
Will they though, John? I mean, you've still got Chrono up, you've got Kisses up. I mean, everything's available right now for T1 as the cookie is there on Yoe. They got the Razor, this one's the Chrono again, Savage. No hesitation, right into it. And why would you hesitate? And quite frankly, John, T1, they don't even need these ultis right now. Just no need to hold them, as they'll go right into the Roshan pit, it seems.
Straight and approach, nothing to worry about. Even though they don't have Arena kisses, they still have the grip. Arena's back off. Cooldown, TNC. Again, their only big play is Vac Wall with Static Storm. We still don't have that Blink on Xiao Yu. We still don't have the Ags up on the Darkseer. So it's a long time for that power spike. And T1 recognized that. Just go straight in, free Roshan. You have to admire the early item build up here as well, Mike. Cuckoo, Carl, and Savage are all going for very fast BKBs. We talked about this a bit behind the scenes, Mike. We talked about Disruptor. Once BKBs are up, that's Static Storm. Your key control, it's just gone. Like, you're not going to find Ags in the pause 5 that quick, especially in a game where you're so far behind. So
They're gonna
T1's
try.
getting ready for it.
They're trying to get anything they can get right now. They'll try to just accept the Whitemon kill, but it's not that easy. Whitemon, he's still alive, just barely, but it seems as though T1 will allow this gift to go the way of TNC. Not interested in trying to force the fight right now. They'll accept the fact that they got the Aegis basically for free. TNC, you just kind of accept the time you have. Keep that farm up, try to get Young God nice and healthy on this Wraith King.
The durability buff from that Ags is going to do enough. I think the blink timing is still the bigger one for Xiao Yu. And again, they've got to wait a little bit longer for that, as they just need more time to farm. It's not just Xiao Yu, they're going to have the Desolator and Young God very soon, Mike. So there's a little bit more damage coming out from TNC. They can maybe handle the back line, but you're going to need a Blink and BKB on Young God as well. So there's still a lot of items to farm up before TNC really hits a big spike here.
Yeah, but they're not going to have the time, John. Another 5-man smoke up here from T1. They're just more than happy to rotate around their timings. It's the spell CDs. T1 not going to quite find a target in that dire triangle.
Radiant's top tower deserves just as much. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team's turn to ban. Dire team's turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Dire team ban. Radiant team's turn to pick. Dire team's turn to pick. Dire team's turn to pick. Radiant team's turn to pick.
Mereska has arrived.
Radiant team's turn to ban.
Life stealer.
Dire team's turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban. Radiant team ban. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Your combo with Mars and Willow, the Willow is gonna fear in the arena, it's gonna force them all to walk into the wall, it's gonna do massive amounts of damage. So they have like damage and team fight here already from T1.
5 seconds
and the ability to pick off with like Mars Blink. So they're filling a lot of things already. It's looking like a nice draft.
Interesting, an Ogre Magi. Is it possible they're trying to actually take away the draft, like winning the core-to-core matchup instead? Because Ogre, the Bloodlust, obviously the big...
Possible. I mean, I think I see Ogre, and I think they're picking it like they see it as this strong laner who is, like you say, going to buff up their carry. Gives them an instant disable. Perhaps they looked at Mars Willow and playing into lifesteal like, okay, we don't really have that insta stun. I mean, unless you can completely catch him by surprise with a spear. So I think the insta stun is nice, the lane is nice, and yeah, the Bloodlust. Kind of just to pick that is like, let's not show them anything. I think that's one of the strengths when you throw out some 5 that is going to be good regardless.
Still have no answer for the actual IO itself. They usually try to find something in the back lines that kills the IO.
Dire team's turn.
Mars is pretty decent against IO, right? Because his idea is that he wants to relocate in a fight with his partner, and when Mars just arenas that, it captures them, it traps them. IO is a very squishy hero, so if they do get an arena on him, he will probably die.
Fair enough.
Pango and Grimstroke, interesting.
Remaining.
I'm wondering if
5 seconds remaining.
So I was thinking that they needed a vessel for Lifestealer to get into fights, right? Because usually when you have a Lifestealer, you need him to get in. IO relocate is one way, but usually you'll pick some sort of like Link Initiator, Centaur Mars type heroes, right? Legion Commander even, and then you just infest Mom. Oh god! Oh no! They gave 23 Savages Morphling.
Yeah, and there's the mana carry counter.
Yeah, because Pango is like he's got a lot of control, right? But it's not instant unless he's blinking from fog with roll. So Morphling kind of has a free game here, right? Where's their lockdown for him?
Yeah, I feel like Whitemon's looking. He's feeling pretty confident right now after that one. This is, yeah, it's such a good Morphling game against both cores so far. Definitely a concern.
That you have the one pick as TNC Predator that needs to counter this or deal with this Morphling somehow.
Yep.
But it's not even last pick, so he's gonna get countered most likely by the last pick here.
They need a mid that is pretty high tempo, I'd say, because you want to stabilize this game because your lifesteal is not really going to be able to make any moves. Your Panger's going to want to come out and fight as soon as he hits level 6. And your IO and Grimstroke are heroes that typically as supports can like run with an offlaner and make moves, right? You want to stop T1 before this Morphling gets his big items. Yeah, you're going to get last picked, but you need something, maybe some generic spirit hero, maybe some void spirit that can just basically get runes, you know, bring your supports, get the runes, make moves, do stuff.
5 seconds remaining.
Completely unrelated though. Do you guys know a T1 together in boot camp? Because we obviously have Febby, he's playing by himself, he's not with the rest of the team. Do you guys know T1?
Actually, good question. I presume they are.
We might get a chance to talk to them, we can find out.
Yeah.
Some of the players there you can see playing at the TNC place, but I know, yeah, Febby is not with the rest of the team. I don't know if it's just him or also Zhao Yumei.
I'm seeing, by the way, from that you are. This DK is not. I mean, look, he has insta-stun. He can push towers.
Right, but like...
10 seconds remaining.
Where's your damage?
Yeah, once again,
Deja vu.
It's the same problem as last game.
Yeah.
Who's like Morphling, right? You blink. You used your stun on Morphling. Who's actually killing him? Where, like...
Gotta be the lifestealer. It's really the only source of damage they have.
But I don't even know if lifestealer is going to be able to output enough damage to kill Morphling. I mean, this is 23 Savage Morphling. Like, you gotta respect... Like, if this guy has any vision or any idea, he's going to get off Strength Morph.
Yep.
The ability that they have to kill him on TNC Predator is like solo. And what if he just rushes a Lincoln Sphere? Then your only form of initiation is actually just completely gone.
You've just jinxed him.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's always going to have to drink more. I'm worried for him now. I thought it was a perfect morph game, but you know,
my bad,
you have not learned about the caster curse yet, but we're gonna quickly learn.
Caster Blesser. That's my. Okay. I'm a new talent. I'm actually anti you other casters.
I'm anti you other casters.
Yeah, well,
okay. It makes sense. You are a streamer after all, so we get the Timber Saw last pick for T1 here, and between this and Morphling, you have two heroes that TNC hasn't really answered. It does seem like a pretty free Timber Saw game for similar reasons, though.
Yeah.
It's it's a bit on the greedier side when it comes to offlanes, but I think that's where Carl playing a mid Mars, he's just going to take a bit less farm. It's going to be the playmaker. I mean, we saw last game. That's what Carl loves to do. So there's no reason Mars doesn't suit him, and the fact that it feels like they used that 10th pick of the draft effectively, which is something TNC couldn't do in game 1 with Edge.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Sheepa? What do you think is going to happen this game?
I think 23 Savage is going to be 23 Savage, and Godspeed TNC.
Alright. Gods, is that 10% chance alive?
It's maybe gone down, maybe 6 or 7%. I mean, I don't even know if 23 Savage has to carry this game. I feel like Cuckoo may just take over. Morphling, I mean, he will carry the game, but I feel like they're going to be just playing 4v5 for a long time, so...
Well, we're going to have to hear what the casters themselves have to say as we move it over to our favorite Australian and honorary Australian duel, which is MOP and John X Fire.
Thank you very much, Abbott. Plus, of course, it is MOP Dota and John X Fire. John, welcome back. So, game number 2 between TNC Predator and T1. And John, I didn't ask you this last game. I'll ask you the hard question because you haven't had the chance to answer today. Who has the better draft? I think we both know the answer to that question, but who has it, John?
Well, T1, they've got the specials out. We heard the panel, we heard Chief say it, Savage Morphling, even Cuckoo Tim. You know, that's a throwback we don't get to see too often, but something he specializes in. So I'd say T1, Mike. I think we saw the reaction of Whitemon. We saw how happy he was with the draft. It shows the confidence of T1 there.
You may not have much time, John. These teams, they want to go out at level 1 again. It seems that... never mind, Cuckoo. It's kind of debating me. Go on, Jonathan. You were saying... You were even calling out. We were watching the draft, and you were saying, once you saw that Dark Willow, you wanted the Savage Morphling to come out. You kind of predicted it to be there.
I mean, it's just great. You've got the Ags combination down the line. I mean, you can always go E-Blade to burst people down, but the Ags combination with Willow, and even the Tim. Right? You turn into Timbersaw, you've got two tanky frontliners just zipping around, doing pure damage. There's a lot of value here for the Savage Morph, and again, it's a throwback all the way back when Savage showed up in 2017 in TI Quals with Genesis. Like, this was the hero he was on, right? This was the hero he was known for along with Terrorblade, so it's good to see T1 bring it out. You see it sometimes, but not too often. I think they're going to have a good time on T1 TNC. A lot of gelling issues. They have a low chance, as God's pointed out. I think everyone wants to cheer for the underdogs, but it's a tough road ahead for them.
Yeah, it's a tough road for Playhard right now, John. He's going to go through the maze. Zephyr, he'll get a bit of damage off, but in the end, we'll have to let Playhard go. Speaking of Playhard, he had a very tough game last time around. That Nyx Assassin just not really having any impact as the Pos 4. Do you like the Grimstroke a bit better? Do you feel like this offlane should pan out a little bit better for TNC this time around, or do you think T1 have it in the bag?
I think the Grimstroke can have a little bit more impact in the sense that it's easier to pull off the combinations for the Grimstroke. You can just kind of set up for your Life Stealer to run in, set up for your DK to run in with a Blink Stun combination down the line. They are kind of switching things around, which is something TNC does. So sometimes Febby does take the IO off lane and runs a much more aggressive duo, and we will see Playhard hanging around with Young God here. So there's a little bit more presence in the safe lane and a lot more presence up top, as you can see. Febby is kind of tethering up Xiaoyu, trying to ensure that lane runs well, and I think when it comes down to it, the key thing for TNC is when Febby has the IO, he knows how to play that on edge. He plays very sacrificial, he goes into that early Holy Locket and builds up from there. So I think giving Febby that priority in farm to build into that healing and sustain is definitely what TNC really needs to do, and we need to hit that spike early.
Wymont's being a real pest already though on that Ogre. One of those things, when you play this hero, you can just kind of run heroes down, but now Xiao Yu is going to try and go on to 23 Savage. He won't actually have enough to get through the strength morph. Savage, he'll be just fine. Because you want to get as much harassment in as you can before that Morphling does hit the level 3 mark. That's when it does start to feel rather impossible to actually kill him off. I'll try to turn back onto Whitemon, but he's going to be just fine. Hanky Ogre, okay to walk away. And of course, the last lane we haven't really talked about, John. Mid lane, you've got Karl and Yoe against each other. This lane, I kind of predict to be a little bit boring between these two, as you do have a Dragon Knight who just doesn't ever die. Do you predict anything happening here, or it's just standard kind of trading lane?
That's a standard trading lane. You can see Yoa skipping out in the Breed Fire. He can just run up, get the stun, secure range creep, get some harassment onto Karl. Karl's fairly tanky as well. He can clear out the creep wave with the spear and with God's Rebuke. So it's a static farming lane. I think when it comes down to it, rune control is going to be a bit more important for Karl. So that's something that T1's going to have to watch out for. Just grabbing those runes to ensure Karl can spam out his spells. Beyond that, it's the level 6 sparks we're looking for. The early arena, the early dragon form to get the push and fight going for both sides is really it. And beyond that, you're just going to sit in that lane, farm up, maybe get a support or two to help you secure water runes and power runes, but that's it.
Fair enough. All quiet across the map so far, 2.5 minutes in. Looks like, at the very least, Xiao Yu's having a much better time on this Pangoan. Well, even the bot lane going decently here for our Lifestealer. You do expect Cuckoo to be able to apply a lot of pressure on this Timber as he does get the XP up. At least for now, he is going to sit back and not overextend. He'll just wait for those levels. Especially once you start approaching that level 4, level 5 mark, things start to get very scary for these strength heroes. Of course, Young God being no exception here on the Lifestealer. You know, they try and play around it. I suppose you do have that nice little movement speed buff from Playhard with the Inkswell if you do get run down by Cuckoo, but it's a Timber. He's very mobile. It'd be very hard to actually close the gap and just kind of get away from Cuckoo if he does have his eyes set on you. And say that about every core hero though for TNC. It's a bit of a rough situation here against the Timber.
Yeah, but that's where the beauty of that last pick comes out for T1. Just a lot of strength heroes to rip through, a lot of ways to mitigate some of that healing coming out from the eye, get some burst damage on, and counteract that sustain. So I think Cuckoo's going to be a big part once he hits the level spikes. I think the passive lane still works out for Cuckoo. He has a better time clearing out the wave. You know, Young God's a very single target focused here on the Lifestealer, so he can't really harass back. He just focuses on the CS, maybe gets a couple of right clicks off. Timbersaw can be susceptible to the passives, but that does take levels for Young God to really rip through the armor. And that just means, again, another passive lane bot, passive lane mid. It's only really the top lane which can get exciting, but we have already hit that level spike on Savage. He's level 4. So you can just easily shift around with attribute, probably not in any danger unless they really commit hard here on TNC.
Absolutely. We have a TP coming in here, Zephyr. It's going to join up that top lane, so maybe a bit of a gank attempt to come here from T1. Still very early. I mean, you've only got level 2 on the Dark Willow, but you do have the Cursed Crown and you do have the Bramble, so plenty of control if Zephyr is able to lock onto someone. I believe, of course, they probably will look for the IO, but bot lane, Young God, just barely surviving on the lifestealer. Cuckoo does begin to get very aggressive with the Whirling Death. It's one of those things, you leave Young God alone, he is not going to be able to sustain himself in this lane. Especially while Cuckoo's at level 4 now. In the meantime, though, top lane, they've made the jump in onto the IO now, so Febby is going to be in trouble, does immediately go down. Xiao Yu, he is at least going to try and trade here with Zephyr, but it's not looking great for him. He'll have to go for a run, does try with the swashbuckle, but in the end, Zephyr's fine. In fact, they'll keep up the chase now with the Cursed Crown out. Xiao Yu, he doesn't really have a great way out. But try to walk into that T1 tower, but the chase is going to continue as now the Brambles does lock him down. He'll try to hit a Fairy Fire. Whitemon, how far do you want to go? Not far enough for the Ignite. Will be more than enough for the Ogre. No problem here for T1. In the meantime, mid lane, they were trying to make a play onto Carl. At least for now, he is just fine. Ahar tries to wrap around and maybe get an Inkswell stun off, but Carl, he hides in the fog and he's going to be able to survive through it. In fact, Whitemon and Zephyr do move in from the side now. Yowie, he's going to try and move forward onto the Ogre, but the arena is down. Carl, he'll initiate right onto that Dragon Knight. They're trying to heal him up with the Febby, but he is dropping rather low. They need even more Fairy Fires. Inkswell's there as well. Yowie, he'll keep the chase up onto Whitemon and might have something as he puts the hand up and he does get the Ogre down. The persistence does pay off from TNC. They'll be able to get a bit more chip damage off of this tier 1 mid tower.
What a bounty!
Get a little bit more value from that Dragon Form. That's the level 6 spike we're looking for. It's a lot of commitment from TNC though. The 2 supports mid, freeing up the side lanes. You already talk about the Young God kind of struggling up against Cuckoo. He's now level 5. Level 3 reactive, just a level 2 Whirling Death, enough to zone out the Young God quite fair bit. And that's going to be an issue. To kind of make this work for TNC, they need to secure that mid tier 1. They're going to have to wait for the next Dragon Form on Yoe and take that objective they want to open up. They've committed a lot of wards here as well, Cliff Ward and Ramp Ward, just to ensure the movements from T1 are red. So I think that investment will have to pay off. TNC will have to focus in on mid. Once Yoe is ready, they've got to bring the numbers there to take that objective out.
Oh, that they absolutely do. Still 1-2 right now. Very slight net worth lead for T1, but nothing to write home about. See Yoe just continuing to persistently hit that tier 1 mid, but top lane, Xiao Yu going to be in a bit of danger as the swashbuckle is away, but Savage is on the chase, and now the Brambles will lock him down. Xiao Yu, again, between a rock and a hard place, is not going to be able to get himself out. In the meantime, though, mid lane again, they'll make the jump in onto Carl, but he's going to survive. In fact, now Cuckoo, he does rotate in a nice arena. Carl's right on target, and Cuckoo, he'll just shred through the DK. No issues here at all. They trust Cuckoo to get the job done. Tips out from Carl, and well, Yoe, he tried, but a bit of wishful thinking there to try and go after that mark.
Yeah, if you don't have the IO combination in hand, that DK will get ripped to shreds by the team. Heck, even if the IO was there, I'm not sure if you have enough regen on Febby to really outlast that burst damage. So that's where the beauty of that Tim comes in. He just manages to take control. With or without the IO around, TNC is going to struggle a bit with all these strength heroes. And T1, again, in a very comfortable spot in this game, like 1-4, 1k lead their way, freest lane of Savage's life so far, level 7 already. Going to be rushing the Lincoln Sphere first for some protection from the instant blink stun. From there, you're going to be really well protected. You can see TNC again, Mike, grouping up 3 heroes mid. They've got the Dragon Form almost ready to go. Again, they kind of lost out on that opportunity earlier because they split up. They still want that mid tower to be gone. It's just the side lanes get punished so hard by leaving them alone. Like, the Young Gods just chase out of lane. Cuckoo just runs up. He's got the armor. He's got the damage. You can't allow your life stealer to just miss out on this much farm.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate TNC trying to get that mid tier 1 because it is going to cease the aggression that happened in game 1 against T1. But I mean, you are sacrificing quite a bit in the side lanes to make that happen. At the very least, Young God right now does have some decent net worth. 3rd place in the graph, but like you mentioned, Cuckoo, every chance he gets will continue to chase down this life stealer, making sure he knows he is not welcome in this safe lane. As again, you see the chase down. Young God forced to rage up. Now he needs a way out because Cuckoo, he might just keep chasing him. But there's no real reason not to. This is kind of the job of Cuckoo anyway. He won't go too far. You look back at that mid lane, Yoe, he started again. That mid T1, getting very unhealthy now. Cuckoo, he'll be forced to rotate as Yoe tries to move back in. They do get the stun off. Rolling Thunder's going to be there. They'll commit on the Carl. They've got the Rolling Thunder. They've got the stun off, but can they get the kill? Carl, he is still alive. He finally gets the arena down just in the nick of time. And Febby now, he's trapped up with Yoe. Yoe, he might just run away and leave the Io to die, but he is so darn low at the moment as Febby's gone, and now the Chakram just barely landing from Cuckoo. They'll move on to Xiao Yu. Tips out from the grave from Carl. And nothing works out here. For TNC, they are just trying to get themselves out. Savage is joined on that Morphling. They'll go up the Pango, they'll secure the kill. Young God, he is trying to at least get a support for their trouble, but he's not even going to find that as Play Hard. Will be another one to drop. Young God, I mean, all he can do is hit them a few times. But it's not really threatening to T1. They're moving with their own siege creep now, and they might find the first T1 tower of the game.
They're set up. Heavy commitment coming through here from TNC. That was 4 heroes mid. To take the tier 1, the fight just doesn't line up. They have the durability with the IO DK, but they don't have the team fight control. Like, they've got Rolling Thunder, they've got Soulbind now on Play Hard, but he doesn't have it leveled up. So your control to keep them down, your burst damage to eat through some of the heroes on T1 is just not there. And the commitment from TNC is not just in heroes. Like, we had those double ramp wards, we had even another ramp ward near the southern area as well. And TNC just committing so many resources mid, still not finding tower. That's bad news. T1 works the rest of the map. T1 still has control of their triangle, control of their top jungle, control of bot lane. They can farm anywhere and not get punished. It's just very readable what TNC is doing, committing so heavily on mid. You need to kind of change things up. Buy some space out for Young God. Try to get the life steal to at least hit the armlet timing. They are trying, but they're pushing out a lot of spells down bot here.
Ball lane, Zephyr, he's already got the rage out, and now the arena is there. Carl, he's found another great target. It's the bed limit. There's just not enough heals in the world to allow Febby to keep his cause alive. As Carl, he's feeling like he's in a great mood today, John. He's just tipping absolutely everyone. Another kill out for the Mars. 3k net worth advantage now, and this is where things start to get very, very south. D1, they're getting aggressive. You're still looking for that mid-tier 1 tower here for your TNC, but it looks like they've left it alone for now, and well, Cuckoo's going to be there to defend anyway. They're just kind of stuck at the moment.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen this kind of play style with Timbersaw before. In a different tournament, I think it was JG we saw, actually, that played the Timbersaw down mid and just kept running down the mid, keeping pressure in the mid lane. So that push that TNC wants, that mid lane's just going to naturally shove in now, Mike, and they're always going to have to respond if they don't want their own tower falling. This just keeps the movement of TNC in check. They're going to have to commit heroes here. Xiao Yu's already stuck in this lane, and Xiao Yu's the big part of making some plays happen. They're going to try to go for it.
Oh no, he jumped right into the brambles. Oh, that's unfortunate. Xiao Yu is going to drop. Carl's got a DD rune, so it's no problem. They go into that T1 mid tower, and they've got it. No problems here for T1. Play hard. They get caught by Whitemon.
Radiant's middle tower
Night out.
is under attack.
That blast, he should be in range very, very soon, but the team's not around. It won't really matter though, John, because they found the stacks in the triangle now, so Carl will happily take those away.
Is under attack.
TNC, it just feels like they're losing absolutely everything at the moment. They just can't protect any objective on the map. From this dire end, hell, T1, they want to go for a fight, it seems. More than happy to try and force something.
They're beating on Dire's
Yoe
top
and Play
tower.
Hard, they both trying to back out in time. They've just made it.
Still using up a lot of time from TNC. Losing out the stacks is huge, because they're so far behind in farm, especially under cores, that they need some sort of catch-up mechanic. And instead, T1 builds up an even bigger lead. They're trying to play down bot here, you know, Febby and Young God trying to get the push in with the IO and Lifesteal, but here we go again.
Yeah, nice rage up from Young God. Just in the nick of time as the spear was just about to connect, and Young God, he'll be fine to run away. But even if you miss that, it's kind of reaffirming the idea that you're just never safe as this lifestealer. Because Young God, he knows that. The way this game's gone, kind of surprised that he's actually managed to get to 5.5k net worth, considering how much pressure Cuckoo has been applying. But I suppose when you compare that to 23 Savage, who's at 7.3k net worth, I suppose it doesn't really compare. As mid lane, they found Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, he's got Swash up in 2. He might make it out of this, but the Curse Crown's going to be there. He'll commit the Swash. He'll try to Rolling Thunder away, but the Spear is there from Carl.
Ownage.
They will allow nothing
Player's
for
bottom
Zhao
tower
Yu.
is being chipped away.
Play. Go ahead, play hard. They're going to try and make the jump in on the Savage. That'll be a massive pickoff. They've even got the relocate. They've got a great pickoff for themselves, but now Cuckoo, he'll just come in with the chance from out, just chasing down Yoe. If he needs some help, if the help isn't coming, play hard. He'll be focused down now on the grip stroke, but the relocate away is there. But however, they left the DK. Yoe's in trouble. He's been completely left alone.
Killing spree.
They saved the Grimstroke, John, but I'm not sure it's worth the trade.
Being chipped away.
They saved more than the Grimstroke. There was an infest coming through from Young God, so it's a double retreat, and that does make it work well. But look at Carl, maybe a bit deep here.
Maybe. He's a pretty tanky boy at the moment, but he's been slowed up so darn hard. But the problem is Cuckoo's rotated again. They'll drop the arena. They might find Febby, but Cuckoo now, he's taking a lot of damage. Young God, he needs the gold desperately, and he'll get it. You just see his net worth shoot up, John. Second in net worth now, only about 700 gold behind Savage, but Savage has jumped in. He'll go for an easy kill onto Febby. We'll have to leave Young God alone. But I'm going to say, I do love the fact TNC, they are tipping back. Getting aggressive now.
They know there's still an opening here. They punish T1 for going a bit deep. No chance to reset for T1 in that defense. They get punished for it. And their mid tier 1 does get denied off. So even though you don't get the gold, the map control kind of stabilizes here for TNC. Gives them a little bit more breathing room in their triangle, in their jungle, just a bit more. Allows them to evenly contest Roche to an extent as well. So that is a bit of a win for TNC, and they even have the net worth lead. As you said, Mike, we saw that net worth skyrocket for Young God with those kills. T1 still hold a 2k lead, but your lifestealer is not lagging too far behind. So we're seeing some keys for TNC. The point up when Yoga does allow them to initiate as well.
Oh, nice towards top lane. He's going to keep the vision out on support, so Whitemon might just drop, or maybe not. No, he does. They barely get enough damage off, so the Terrorize was off the mark. And now Yoe and Zhao Yu can get to work on that top tier 1 tower. On lane in the meantime, Savage, well, he's going to get jumped here by Young God. He's going to take a lot of damage, but Zhao Yu's coming in from the side with the Rolling Thunder. Wait for more waves, Savage. How do you get out of this one? He'll range with the lifesteal, but the damage with the right fix is going to be enough. Morphling has gone too far. Just way too confident there from Savage. Young God does eventually get the kill going. Late, however, Yoe, he is going to end up going down to the DK. But now the relocate. Young God is there once again with the IO. They'll make the jump in onto Carl. Carl, how do you survive this one? He'll try to go for the arena spear, but nothing connects. He tries to run out now. You've got the infest. Not quite enough damage though. Carl does armor the toggle and get himself out. Still though, great kills across the map here for TNC.
Finding the isolation, picking them off one by one almost in a row.
Yeah, Zephyr now in trouble. He got stunned up by the Inkswell of Play Hard. And Young God, he'll pick up another kill. In fact, Play Hard will take it this time.
Time for T1 to kind of reel in that solo aggression a bit. They play really strong as a team, but when they split up, TNC can bear the numbers. You know, they can infest play with relocate. They can bring in 3 heroes from across the map if in the right spot and just turn that around against T1. So T1 has to watch themselves, maybe build up a little bit more farm here, especially on, I think, Cuckoo and Savage really need to kind of hit those spikes. They've got the Lincolns to protect on Savage now, but I think you need to scale more in that Tim because he's feeling a bit squishy once the numbers are there.
Yeah, absolutely, John. We're going to find out how squishy right now. They make the jump in again. Yoe's there with the Dragon Tail into the Rolling Thunder, but he'll use up and try to survive throughout all this. They've got so much control. Cuckoo, he'll actually keep with the chains out, and it looks like he might just make it. Oh, Cuckoo. The confidence that goes to the chain TP, and the immediate tip out onto Zhao Yu.
Oh, you love to see it. Cuckoo playing on edge does manage to secure that bot tier 1. It is denied off by Febby. But that again, that's equalizing map control for both sides. I don't think T1 minds too much. They still have a slight net worth lead. And with all of that focus on the Tim, you are buying space out for Savage. So he's not being rotated on. He's not the one being infest, relocated on top of. And you are buying time for your win condition to actually build up. So it's a good move from T1. TNC, you know, they're finding openings here. They're starting to build up, especially with Yoe and Blink. Once you have that BK on the DK, that's when things can really kick into gear for TNC. I think that's when they're going to look to force even bigger fights out, try to get control, try to play with the pickoff scheme. I think for TNC, they could jump in.
Yeah, they've got another kill here, Whitemon. It's not the biggest kill in the world, but you take what you can get. Just kind of claw your way back as TNC, and again, they're just doing a fantastic job. Just being so aggressive with these relocates here from Febby and Zhao Yu. Cuckoo, he was spotted out top lane as well here with Young God, but Young God, he won't have the help to try and go after the Timber again, especially after what happened last time. We'll just leave him be. Only a 3k net worth deficit here for TNC. Not too bad of a game thus far, as they want to keep it up. They'll smoke up with Xiao Yu and play hard towards the north, in that dire jungle. But it seems as though T1, they may have read the movement. They've rotated up 4 heroes here to get ready for this contest. Whitemon, he just respawned, but he is in position to break the smoke again. Savage, he thought about turning around to try and go for the fight. They'll let Whitemon die. And see. They find an objective out of this. They've got a TD route available outside the Roshan pit. You know what that means, John?
Oh, God.
Into the Roshan we go.
Always, every single time, Mike, especially when I'm casting with you. It just comes out. Can TNC get to work? They've got damage sustained. T1 does have some counterfight here, especially if Carl makes his way there, but he's a bit far. They need to stall out to get the group up. They are doing a good job just pressuring Young God in and out, and it looks like they're not comfy with fully committing anymore. They know T1's aware. They've got to play it safe. And T1, well, you know, Savage is still farming. He's still not dying. He will have his Manta up soon. He's very well protected on that Morph with Manta and Lincoln Sphere up. Very defensive build up, straight into what looks to be the Daedalus next. He's just going to go for the right-click build, and eventually the Ags with Dark Willow with the Daedalus up. Shadow Realm right-clicks, Mike. That's when it gets silly. T1 going to be playing for the long game here.
And that's what we're waiting for, John. But we love to see. You do get that Ags up, things get very, very silly. T1, they'll keep tabs on the Roshan. Not willing to allow TNC to take that away for free. Actually, TNC, they'll do the exact same thing in that Radiant Triangle. Just hang around, keep the farm going on Young God, but most importantly, stay around the Roshan pit. Always be aware of what's going on. Always just spam the Stroke of Fate here from Play Hard to get the vision, just in case T1 try to do something a little bit sneaky. The team really biting the bait from each other, those. Never mind, we do have a smoke up. TNC, 5-man smoke. It's a little bit hard to approach that dire jungle, though. They are watching all the stairways into that dire jungle, but now it's going to be another 5-man smoke out. T1, they want to try and wrap around. Ring around Rosie we go. T1 will completely avoid TNC. TNC right on their tails, but not quite close enough to break a smoke. They'll just kind of trade places here between each other. Xiao Yu looking to move up to that high ground. Savage, he's around. Whitemon, he'll break the smoke. Infest immediately out onto the Pango. QQ just kind of baiting with the chains in as now they jump in. Xiao Yu forces the BKB out from Carlin. No, nowhere. He's been caught out immediately. They don't want it to die like this, but he's gone. Just so darn quick with the flying turn on the Savage with the May in control out from that rolling thunder from Xiao Yu, but nobody's buying. Absolutely nobody coming down here from T1 as now they get the spear out. Savage, he'll keep chasing down Bebby and Young God. They'll go towards the south. They want the bigger target, but towards the north they've got Xiao Yu. That'll be your Pango gone. In fact, Young God, he'll try for the Rage TP out. He's gonna make it. Now Roshan's open and T1, they'll have no problems moving their way in. Get that Roshan started. I've got to say, Savage is not looking too healthy. In fact, DNC, they did make their way back in now. They are still hanging around. They may have the time to try and reinitiate this Roshan pit.
They could try to be sneaky, but I think without your DK in the area, you can't really go for the steal. And it's going to be the first Roche going the way of T1. They've got protection on Savage now with the Aegis up. They've had a hard time killing him off with 1 life, with all the defensive tools. 2 lives, kind of out of question. And TNC going to be knocking themselves a bit. They played super cautious when they had the DD in the Roche pit because of Kuku constantly spamming out the Chakram and Zephyr spamming out the Bramble Maze. They missed out on an opportunity. T1 now have a 6k lead, and they're just holding the triangle. They have good vision in this area, good ramp boards and clip boards right now to spot movement out here.
Nice little courier snipe, Young God. They won't be able to force the rage out of him, so they won't go in for the kill attempt. He always had the infest anyway in case Young God needed it. TNC back in that position where they're just going to try and create space and get farm up. But you're nowhere near out of the game yet, but you are 7k behind, and that's not really a position you'd like to be in if you're TNC. You see Young God, he's going to try and work towards the Satanic. Savage still working on towards that Eye of Skadi for now. Now the blink finally up for Carl, which is, I mean, we're 24 minutes in. He's finally got a blink available, just hasn't needed it up until this point. See if T1 want to try and go for a blink reveal with the smoke here, but they'll actually just slowly make their way over that bot lane, join up with Carl, and hope that this bait works here with the Mars. But in the end, TNC, they will TP out, not interested in trying to force a team fight. T1 once again just kind of chasing TNC around. We'll spawn out Zhao Yu. Ignite's going to be there. Savage force out the roll-up. Gonna be about it, but they'll chase down the others. Yoe trying to run away. He's gonna be just fine. Or is he? Gazeppa now. He's gonna find Febby on the IO. Terrorize is gonna be completely whipped as Febby, but tries to TP up a Cuckoo. He's got the Yule Scepter. Gonna mean Febby will be left behind in the IO. Another nice solid kill here for T1 as even top lane Carl is looking at Young God. You just need a speed lamp before that rage does come out, and Young God, he has no idea as the spirit does come in. Savage, he'll join in as well. Young God, he'll rage up, he'll need a TP ASAP. The right-click damage is looking pretty damn high in Savage. He'll be able to get it up in time. Young God just barely unable to get out with his life intact. That one's gonna hurt for TNC.
Just a great play again with the information here on T1. They've got the wards to sustain this kind of aggression. Aggressive movement to even spot out Yoe here.
That they do. Yoe 5 seconds away from the TP. He won't need it though. There's no chase to come. T1, I mean, 10k net worth advantage now. Still holding on to the Aegis on Savage. No real reason to try and rush anything. Got just so much control on this map. You see, I mean, anyone that shows in a lane right now, Cuckoo's literally just going to chase them down every time on this Timber. He just does not care.
He has a lot of counter control with Yules. He's got the Kaya Sanj running, some stat resist, a little bit more magic damage coming through as well. He can just pressure the lanes by himself, play solo for the most part. It's going to take a 4-5-man rotation to handle the Tim, and even then it's not a guarantee at this point. With all the space T1 gets, Mike, they clear out the top tier 2. They take full control of the triangle area, lock down the Roche when it comes up again. And Savage should be finishing up that Scotty soon. So the right clicks for more for amping up, even more stats for Savage to juggle around. And T1 will just smoke, but there's no vision to spot that out. TNC just don't have the info to play against the aggression of T1 right now.
They saw Yoe, so see play hard. Good, happily just changed right into that T2 tower. Yoe, they're gonna try and fight. Mars is there with the arena. They'll get one kill, but they want that Dragon Knight. Yoe, no TP available for 30. He's got a blink dagger. He'll try and find a way out, and that's a nice juke. Out from Yoe, and it may be just enough.
Radiant's bottom tower
It will
is
be.
under attack.
We'll let him go. He only end up losing that support Grimstroke. Net worth, it continues to increase the way of T1. Savage now. Have a look for a bit more with this Iron Scotty now up. He'll spot out Young God. He's got Febby there on the IO, and that should mean he's safe enough to just walk out of there.
He managed to bail out in time, but the map is still under control of T1. TNC don't have much leverage to really leave the protection of these tier 2s at this point. Their bot jungle sworded up, the triangle is just taken control by T1, and now their mid-tier 3 can pressure. They need to fight against this.
Oh, they're going to try and force a fight right now onto that Willow. They've got him. Zephyr immediately down as now Savage. Rage up initially with that last skill form, goes back in onto Young God. The range is there, Young God, but now he's fine. In the meantime, towards the south, Cuckoo dropping very low on that Timber. Still dropping low, needs a way out, but will change towards the north. It's now Young God. He needs his own way out. He'll barely get the infest off onto Yoa, and Savage is still playing with his HP. Makar, he's been left behind on that Mars, but it won't matter. He's a tanky target himself. He'll get down Zhao Yu. As Young God continues the chase, but can't get the job done. Back in on the Cuckoo. They have still trying to kill this Timbersaw off, but he has the Yule Scepter available. Dukes out the stun, but eventually does end up going down. Now T1, not feeling too confident to stick around, will have to leave White Bomb behind. And I'd say that's a pretty successful team fight from TNC.
Managed to split it up, isolate a few core heroes, managed to burst down a Cuckoo. I think that's the big issue there. Cuckoo was very low from the offset. They did manage to get a lot of healing reduction coming through there with the Spirit Vessel on Zhao Yu. And now they might find more. Savage is a bit slippery. It's a hard one to lock in. But they are starting to get some moves out. I think that's what we need to see from TNC. Just go for the isolation plays, burst down the front line, and you have a lot of sustain now from Febby. So you can put Young God up front, play with a very defensive style with the Infest, and just keep resetting. Man, you have a lot of lives to give with the healing coming through from TNC, with an IO, with a life stealer. You can just kind of go in and out, and I think that's, again, what TNC needs to do. T1, maybe reel in the aggression a bit. That was not the fight to take. I think if Savage had the Aegis up, they could have looked to play a lot more aggressive, but it expired beforehand. So just very well timed from TNC finding that opening there, Mike.
That it is. A bit of downtime now as both teams are weighing out that next Roshan. And I say downtime, but either side may decide to get aggressive if they wish. Like T1 just kind of slowing down though, not really wanting to give too much net worth back the way of TNC, which is fair. And God, he's getting to that point where he's starting to hit very hard on this life stealer. Because with that Eye of Skadi up, it makes Savage's life a lot more difficult in this Morphling. Some decent strength morphs off. So we are going to have a 3-man smoke now, TNC. They get aggressive once again. One through the mid lane. Cuckoo is going to be there with Savage and Whitemont, so they've got the backup if necessary. The way TNC are going right now, it looks like they're not really going to find anything. In fact, now T1 counter smoke with a 5-man smoke up. Carl just got a Satanic up, so a bit of a power spike for the Mars as they may have just seen Young God. Cuckoo will kind of reveal he's smoked up though. T1. They may not be able to... Oh, Young God. Don't go for that creep wave, sir. This could be very, very dangerous, but the smoke has broken now on Cuckoo. Oh. Look around. Febby is going to get caught out, or does he? Spear. Not going to land yet, but there it is. The IO automatically gone as Young God is now paced down here by Savage. Yoe, he's going to try and jump in. In fact, Zhao Yu's there and Febby's brought back. They will go for the team fight, and they will at least find 2 supports for their trouble. So you kill Febby, you force the buyback, but they get 2 supports anyway. In fact, they're going for more now. Savage has been caught out. He'll try to race to walk away, but Cuckoo, he'll jump in. They're going to try and force the fight. Savage immediately gets the tie back onto Febby. Zhao Yu now, very, very low, but should be just fine as Young God will try to go back in. Who are you aiming? It is going to be Carl on that Mars. But Carl, he'll get the spear off. Still armor toggling, still trying to survive. Just barely alive, in fact. But now he's still getting out of there, Carl. How do you not die throughout all this? Young God finally takes him down. But it does cost them quite a bit. These armor toggles from Carl's been a real problem here for TNC.
Dire's bottom tower needs some help.
Nevertheless, a pretty even team fight between the 2 teams.
Yeah, it still works out for TNC, even though it does cost them a die back there on the IO. They do manage to get some good punishment. Killing off Carl is big, gives him a nice net worth swing, and they protect Young God, who does finish up his Satanic. He's going to be going into the Basher next, even more control coming out here from TNC. Better chances for Young God to leverage his 1v1 up against the opposing core, although Savage shows up pretty early here.
And he does. Young God is dropping low. Always has that armored Satanic, though. And they're just kind of posturing aggressively to force TNC out of the area, it seems. I mean, you've got Roshan back up in about 10 seconds. Imagine that is going to be the objective for both teams now. As T1, they'll try to just kind of force their way into this Radiant Triangle. Just make sure TNC cannot get back in. They will have first dibs over the Roshan, which has now spawned up. Zephyr onto that immediately, and you see T1. He's going to rush right over, John. No problems here for T1 to try and get this done ASAP. And there is a scan out though. TNC, you get spotted within that scan. That is going to make it to T1. Are playing a little bit more cautiously, but they are going to go for the smoke.
Vision as well on the high ground, so we could look for the angle on the approach.
That's down. On Yoe, Savage. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage on Play Hard. He's immediately gone. Now Febby. Don't forget, he bought back earlier, so he will get the relocate out. Boy, oh boy, these supports. Just no chance of survival. Savage now does have the Daedalus up. I think it's back to the Roshan pimp around Morphling. It's Febby. Well, eventually he was going to die. No chance of survival. Roshan will go the way of T1.
No contestation coming through. Their biggest play was really just getting all 5 heroes in with a relocate for the blink up on DK, and without that IO, that's just not possible. The T1 get away with another free Aegis. They've got the Daedalus up on Savage. His right foot damage is just insane now, going for the Satanic next. So it looks like we won't be getting our Dark Willow form here, Mike, with the Yags. No Shadow Realm plays. Maybe they're just going to bank on it and Roshan if the game goes long enough, but Young God.
Caught out. He's got the rage, though. How far are you willing to try and chase down Young God, but with the Ink Sword, the Shards off on play hard. The answer is you're not going to chase him down. So they get the tier 2 mid tower, and Savage now can get right to work with that tier 3. It's very hard to expect the defense to come out now from TNC. They are very low on buybacks at the moment. You might just have to watch this one go down. You do have the eggs up now at the very least on Yoe, but he's 20 seconds away from having the DK Dragon form up. No way to abuse that axe. They're going to make the jump in onto Young God and force out the rage. Young God being aggressive.
The only one surprised by
Make
this
the jump
is
into the arena. Not enough time for that Black Dragon to be up now for Yoe. Good. Front lining is going to get stunned up, and there's your Rolling Thunder to come in and just kind of back him up. He's dropping very fast right now, and nobody's there to help him out.
Radiant's top tower.
They've got the timber down. It seems like they are successfully going to defend this mid-rats.
Hold on for now. There's no Rolling Thunder. They could wait out the Dragon form, but you've still got Carl ready to go. You've got Arena. You have Savage with Morph ready to go as well. They can just kind of slow siege this if they want to on T1.
Savage gonna try again.
Radiant's top tower is just as much help as bottom.
There's a little bit threatening with that your Cuckoo Timber there. Maybe you just kind of want to see them just locked in the base at the moment. And the NT1 will accept the fact that they are not going high ground yet. You still maintain a 15k net worth lead as well, so again, you don't really want to throw that back the way of TNC. Yoe, however, even with this Dragon form wearing off, you want to try and force a fight. It is 4v5 after all, so I suppose there's never been a better time. They are going to find nothing, at least for now.
That was an awkward play. They smoke out, they drop the ward under its sentry obs. So T1 immediately knows there's a smoke play, and they hold the high ground here in the bot jungle.
Very, very bad times here for TNC as Play Hard gonna have his first broken Xiao Yu. Thinking about the Rolling Thunder, but he did silence up. Wants to make the jump in onto Savage. He is not straight mopping at the moment, but it won't matter. He is still alive. And Xiao Yu's the one to drop. First crown now is gonna be out on Young God, who has no range available for Savage. He'll get right to work. That'll be Young God gone. That'll be Febby gone. Savage, he just plays to the edge with his HP. He had the Aegis up the whole time anyway.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And TNC again, that whole move out. The smoke play would have worked out, but they dropped that ward. It's taken out by Savage. That lets TNC know what it went wrong, and with those kills, they can go high ground. I mean, there's no buyback on your life stealer, he's your main damage dealer, and it looks like they might actually gun for tier 4s. Like, Carl's in position, playing with a bulwark, showing off what they can do, and yeah, Savage goes for it.
Why the hell not? Hardly any buybacks available here for TNC. At least you don't have Young God. And that's the main one you need right now. See what? Yeah, they're going to force out the Xiao Yu buyback, and that'll be enough to go towards that top lane instead. Get the secondary lane of barracks.
Radiant's top barracks are going to blow over.
It'll be an easy rank to be taken down, as for TNC they will not try and force a defense, but now the T4s are going to come out. Savage, he wants a Young God buyback, but there isn't one available. So he's going to know to just go right after that Ancient. Not really much to be afraid of here for this Morphling. They make the jump in, Yoe. It'll be alright for now, but Xiao Yu is Rolling Thunder away. Savage, he's just trying to focus down the Ancient. They've at least got the Ancient, the Aegis gone. They're onto that Dragon Knight now. Just such a long stun duration. He cannot move, and Yoe, he's gone. He'll buy back. He'll try. Young God up now. They might be able to fight back. Factorina is down. They've got Xiao Yu again on the Pango. Infest to try and save. Relocate out. They've managed to save Xiao Yu's life. But can they save Yoe? Not quite. It's a dieback immediately. The DPC called. They have found the time in this game number 2. P1. It was a much closer matchup, John, but I'd still say a very confident victory here for T1 as TNC. It does seem like they're improving game by game, but a pretty tough matchup against T1.
Yeah, it's not the best way to kick off your Div 1 run here for TNC, but it is what it is. The